They say wisdom is a commodity purchased with pain, but in my case, the receipt was printed on a dislocated shoulder and served with a generous side of galactic humiliation. My name is Keith Varr. If this narrative were a tragedy, I would be the fallen hero. Instead, I am the comic relief in a cautionary tale about the catastrophic intersection of ego and ignorance. I was a Zenthian cadet at the Galactic Military Academy, arrogant, scaled, and possessing a level of confidence that eclipsed the local moons. I believed I was the apex of evolution, a master of combat theory. That was before I decided to touch a human. The scene was the Academy cafeteria, a sensory riot where the air recyclers fought a losing battle against the sulfur of Krillian nutrients and sweet methane treats. I sat with my crew, preening like a prize bird, my crest feathers vibrating with self-importance. Then I spotted her. Maya Rodriguez. She sat alone in the shadows of the corner table, consuming earth protein with a mechanical, focused intensity that I mistook for solitude. To my uneducated eyes, she looked small, fragile, a perfect target to demonstrate my dominance to the squad. My friend Jack chittered a challenge, and my brain decided to take a permanent vacation, leaving only my vanity at the controls. I was going to teach this little Deathworlder the pecking order. In stories like this, one can't help but see echoes of our own world's hubris, the titan who thinks he can wrestle the storm, only to find the wind has teeth. I strutted across the tiles, chest puffed out, and grabbed her arm. I expected submission. What I got was a lesson in high-velocity physics. The universe fractured in exactly 0.3 seconds. There was a sound, part wet tear, part dry snap, that still haunts my nightmares, echoing like a gunshot in a library. My vision went white, with a supernova of pure agony. Before I could even register the mistake, I was face down on the cold floor, my arm twisted into abstract art. Maya hadn't even stood up. She simply neutralized the threat, dismissed me as a non-issue, and resumed eating her lunch. The silence that swept the room was absolute, broken only by my whimpers. The medical bay smelled of antiseptic and shattered pride. Dr. Velter, our six-armed Quaxian medic, took far too much pleasure in reviewing the security footage. I watched my holographic self approach Maya, a strutting peacock walking into a propeller blade. Then, Maya walked in. She looked unbothered, explaining that she had merely used a basic defensive reflex, a simple redirection of momentum. I was being gentle, she said, a statement that chilled my blood. If I wanted to hurt you, we'd be discussing surgery, not slings. Commander Zul'Ron, an imposing wall of Altarian muscle, arrived to clarify the situation. He introduced me to the terrifying concept of a Class 12 death world. Earth, a planet where gravity is a crush, weather is a weapon, and biology is an eternal arms race. Humans didn't just survive ice ages, volcanoes, and plagues. They thrived by becoming the monsters in the dark. She used 5% of her force, the commander rumbled, his voice vibrating through the bed. Reaction times, bone density, neural processing, humans are camouflage experts. They look harmless, so they can get close enough to kill. The true revelation came the next morning in Training Bay 7. Maya and a fellow human, Marcus Chen, demonstrated play sparring at 30% intensity. To my species, they were blurs of kinetic energy, flowing like liquid mercury. They chatted casually about dinner plans while executing maneuvers that would have pulverized a Zenthian squad. Commander Zul'Ron highlighted the data. Human reaction times were infinitesimal, their muscles dense as steel cables. They were persistence hunters, and, more terrifyingly, pack hunters. My grab wasn't just an annoyance. To her ancient reptilian brain, it was a threat to the tribe. I hadn't poked a bear. I had walked blindfolded into a thresher. Recovery was a long, humbling road. Maya became my rehabilitation partner. And over weeks of painful physical therapy, fear evolved into genuine respect. We bridged the cultural gap, trading stories of Zenthian technology for tales of human survival. I realized the Academy was failing us. We were treating tigers like house cats and wondering why we got scratched. So, I proposed a solution: the Deathworlder Awareness Training Program. 6 months later, it is mandatory curriculum. Maya is the lead instructor, and I have the dubious honor of being the primary case study on what not to do. My shoulder still clicks when the weather turns, a rhythmic, popping reminder of my folly. But I wouldn't change it. I learned that, in this vast, dangerous galaxy, the most valuable lesson isn't how to fight. It's knowing who is simply holding back.